Okay, so volume of cones. Yesterday, or the last time, 9-1 was cylinders. So today we're gonna do cones. So a cone is a three-dimensional shape with one circular base. The volume V of a cone with the radius R is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So this formula is exactly like the cylinder formula as far as this base times height, except for it's 1/3 of it. Because if you have your cone, if you have a cone and a cylinder, it's beautiful drawing. If you have a cone and a cylinder and they have the same area, they have the same base, then you could be able to fill up the same cylinder 3 times with that cone. So a cone is 1/3 of your cylinder. So that's why we have that 1/3 at the beginning. But the base, that capital B, still stands for the area of the base. So the area of the base, and your base is the same shape as it is on a cylinder. It's a circle. So that's why we use pi r squared. Okay, so when you see that capital B, it just means area of the base. And in our case, that's a circle. In a cone's case. So determine the volume of the cone round to the nearest tenth. That's one spot behind the decimal, one digit. So first thing, write your formula down. So V equals 1/3 V, area of the base, times height. So that area of the base is actually pi r squared times height. And then we want to plug in the numbers that we know. So 1/3 pi is 3.14. Our radius over here, halfway across that circle, is 6. So 6 squared. And h, that's the height of the whole cone. And that's going to be 12. And you can plug this in your calculator all together. So that alpha key, I don't know if you guys remember, but if you do alpha y equals and enter, then you can put that fraction in, that 1/3, and you can arrow to the side. And I use parentheses, but you can use the multiplication sign either way. So I'll do it that way because that's how I see you guys do it. So 3.14 times 6 squared times 12. And we get 452.16. So 452 point, we'll say 2 feet cubed. Since it's volume, it's a 3D shape, we use cubed. So let's look at some of these exercises. Number 1, so I've got the radius is 2. The height of the cone is 4. So I'm going to write my formula down, 1/3. And since I know the area of my base is pi r squared, I'm just going to go ahead and write that in instead of the capital B. So 1/3 pi r squared times height. And then from there, I can plug my numbers in. So I know 1/3 pi, 3.14, the radius, that's 2 squared, and times the height, 4. So alpha y equals, we've got 1/3 times pi, 3.14 times 2 squared times 4. And we get 16.7 yards cubed. Then on number 2, same thing. I'm going to write that formula down. Volume equals 1/3 pi r squared times height. Again, they gave me my radius. That's halfway across the circle, so that's 17. The height of the cone is 20. So alpha y equals, enter, 1/3 times 3.14. You can also use the pi button. Just the 3.14, if you type it in like that, it just shortens it. So you don't have such a huge long decimal. And then the radius, 17 squared times the height, and that's 20. So we get 6,049.7 meters cubed. Number 3, same thing, my formula, 1/3 pi r squared times height. And so on this one, they drew the line all the way across the circle. So that's telling you that that's the diameter. And your diameter is 7. Since they drew that line all the way across, it doesn't matter that this is pointing to that specific spot. That still means that line across, that's your diameter. So that diameter needs to be divided by 2 to get our radius. So half of 7, 3.5, and then plug all these numbers in that we have. So 1/3, 3.14, the radius, 3.5, not 7, squared, and then the height is 4. So again, alpha y equals, enter 1/3 times 3.14 times 3.5 squared times 4. So 51.3. I'm rounding to the nearest tenths. So 51.3 meters cubed. Again, those parentheses, you don't have to do it that way. You can use your multiplication sign. If you're multiplying, you want to use the parentheses. If you're using that multiplication sign, the parentheses aren't necessary because that's telling it that it's multiplying. Just want to remind you. Couple more practice problems. Number 4, 1/3 pi r squared times height. So on this one, they only have half a line across that circle. So that's going to be my radius already, so I can plug my numbers in. 1/3, 3.14, the radius was 3.6 squared times 5.2 as my height. So alpha, enter 1/3 times 3.14 times 3.6 squared times 5.2. And that gives me 70.5 meters cubed. Number 5, you're probably getting the gist at this point, but I still, every time, I want you to write the formula down every single time. I don't care how tired you are if you're hearing me say that. Write it down every single time, so then when you write, fill your numbers in, it makes it so much easier if you mess up to go back and see where you messed up. So plug your numbers in. I've got 1/3. 3.14 is my pi. Radius, they already gave it to me. That's just halfway across the diameter. So I'm good. I don't have to do anything to that number. 9.4 squared. And the height of my cone, 6. So 1/3, 0 to the side, times 3.14 times 9.4 squared times 6. And we get 554.9 feet cubed. Okay, last one, number 6. Write your formula down. 1/3 pi r squared times height. This is another one you got to pay close attention to. So it gives you a line all the way across. We don't want that. We want half of that. So 18.7 divided by 2 is 9.35. So now that I have my radius, I can plug everything in. 1/3, 3.14 is pi. The radius, 9.35 squared times the height of the cone, which was 6.8. So, let's see, 1/3 times 3.14 times 9.35 squared times 6.8. 622.2 centimeters cubed. Okay? And that's it. I think on your homework page, number 11 or number 12. Skip that one because it doesn't have the correct numbers, so you can skip those. And that's it.